Attaboy.
Chase and Rylan White are skilled outdoorsmen, and they do a great job keeping the family's freezer full. Longtime viewers know that Rylan has tagged some great bucks and also put a lot of fans and spurs on the ground.
What do you think about that? Look at me, huh?
During the past year, Chase and Rylan have worked hard to improve their lease here in southern Missouri, improving the native habitat through timber stand improvement and by creating high-quality food plot forage for critters. This past weekend was Missouri's spring youth turkey season, and Rylan was excited to head to the turkey woods with his Winchester. Chase and Rylan are like many of us, they're staying busy. And Chase hadn't had a lot of time to go out and scout recently, so he didn't know exactly where birds were roosted, so they started opening morning up on top of a ridge, gave a few owl hoots, tried to locate some toms, and then planned their approach. This is a great strategy when you're hunting a new property or you don't know exactly where toms are roosted. They heard several toms to the north, but waited until they flew down and listened to see where those toms were headed, so then they could work around and get in front of those toms. This strategy also ensured that they didn't bump a tom that may still be on the limb but wasn't gobbling between them and the other toms. Once the toms hit the ground, it sounded like they were headed to a small food plot, and Chase and Rylan headed that way.
Well, it's late morning. We had some trouble getting on some birds this morning. We didn't get to scout a roost any. The wind was blowing too hard last night. But we got one fired up over here on the hill. He's got a lot of hens with him, so we're going to give it a whirl. We're going to head down here and see what happens.
They quickly cut the distance, got set up on the food plot just in time to see a fan coming up over the hill.
There, you see that fan? Okay, there's a bunch of turkeys there. Like a bunch.
Chase knew that if he called to that tom, he probably wasn't calling it away from those hens. So he waited patiently and quietly just to see how those turkeys would work through the field and maybe feed towards them.
They're getting closer, Rylan, like they're ever so slowly coming up this way.
That strutter sure put on a show and drifted back and forth for a long time.
There is a lot of turkeys around him. That's why he ain't moving. I've been filming him now for 50 minutes.
Eventually the hens headed into the timber and the tom followed.
He's getting closer. Slowly getting closer. Taking his sweet time.
The tom skirted the edge of the food plot just out of range, and he was obviously focused on those hens. So Chase and Rylan, they didn't throw out a call, they just let him drift on by.
He's out of range.
You may be thinking, man, those boys should have gotten aggressive and tried to get that tom fired up with a calling sequence. But obviously, that tom was focused on those hens and wanting to go the other direction. So rather than educating that tom to calling, they let him drift by, but they had gained some valuable information. They had located a known strut zone. Chase believed that if left undisturbed, those turkeys would probably be close by the following morning.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Lacrosse Footwear, Moultrie Mobile, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, RTP Outdoors, Fourth Arrow, Hunt Stand, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Burris Optics, National Land Realty, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
The next morning, Chase and Rylan parked the truck about 800 yards east of that small hidey hole food plot, and they started their walk in. Now they swung wide to the north of where they had heard the toms on the limb the morning before. They got set up, and as light began to break, they started hearing toms firing off.
He's on the other side. They're roosted at Rut Ridge.
While the camera was turned off, Chase had made a soft tree yelp, and a few minutes later, a big tom stepped into the food plot. Reading this tom's behavior, he was likely a subordinate tom. He only went into half strut, and he was very cautious as he approached their setup.
He's pretty leery.
Now I say their setup because Chase and Rylan had set up a hen and Jake back behind them, putting themselves between the decoys and where they thought turkeys would be working, which is a great strategy in case birds hang up just out of range. But as that bird came up over the roll of the hill, and he likely saw those decoys, he hit the brakes at about 40 yards.
Dream drum. He's scared to death of them dang decoys. We're not gonna get him. How far is he right now? Don't move. He's looking.
That tom was only a few steps away from being in Rylan's shooting lane, so he patiently waited to see what would happen.
Don't move. He's 40 yards. He's 40. Rylan, can you bust him?
Chase wisely started calling to the tom each time that tom hit a note. Rylan, can you see him? I guess he can. Go get him, buddy. Boy, did that Longbeard XR ammo thump that big mountain tom.
You wasn't letting him out, was you?
No.
Atta boy. Love you.
Congratulations, Rylan, on tagging a Tom early, making it to church, and then enjoying a great meal with your family that afternoon. It doesn't get any better than fresh wild turkey. Chase and Rylan's hunt provided some great turkey hunting lessons. Those boys were patient and used MRI most recent information to put themselves in the path of where turkeys wanted to be first thing in the morning off the limb. They knew it was much easier to be in front of a turkey or where he wanted to be than to be behind a turkey or try to call him away from the direction he was moving. Also, Chase's calling was key to this hunt. Chase knew when to call and how to call that Tom to keep his interest, get him to turn around and get within Rylan's shooting window.
I guess he can.
No doubt there's some more Toms running around their lease, and I bet here in the next few weeks we'll be sharing another hunt from Team White. There's a nice little rain moving through the proving grounds this afternoon, and it has us thinking about our food plots, but of course we're thinking about turkeys. No matter what you're thinking about this week, whether it's food plots or turkeys or maybe some habitat improvement work, I hope you slow down, enjoy creation, but most importantly, listen to what the Creator is saying to you and the purpose He has for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.